part of the fourth industrial revolution. So this is why we are talking about artificial intelligence today. So now, what is artificial intelligence? So it's a term that has been coined in 1956, so it's not a new topic. So many people here, they think that artificial intelligence is a new topic, but it's not a new topic. So it has been coined in 1956 by a scientist by the name John McCarthy. So he later founded the AI labs at Amity and Stanford. And then what artificial intelligence means, artificial intelligence is a science that will try to implement the human intelligence into the machine, to put it in simple. So when doing artificial intelligence, we can do it in two ways. So the first way is what we call supervised artificial intelligence, where we have like data that is coming from human experts, and then we try to make the machine smarter by looking at what the humans are doing. The second part of artificial intelligence is without human supervision. We don't have like supervised intelligence. Here, it's like the machine will develop the intelligence just like without any labeled data, so that we don't have the action that the machine should take, but the machine should figure out the action by itself. So we are using artificial intelligence everywhere. You will find it in Facebook. For example, if you go to Facebook, sometimes it will give you ads that you will get amazed. How comes that Facebook is giving me these ads? Because it's tailored to you. Because Facebook, for example, they studied your actions throughout the social network, throughout the device, and then they will give you the recommended ads. You have another one, which is Siri, for example, which you can use, and Google. So for example, in Google suggestions, sometimes when you type a query, Google automatically, based on your profile, it will give you the proper keywords that should fit your profile. And also you'll get amazed how Google is giving you like these suggestions. So basically there is also here an AI that is behind in the back end that has been developed by like these companies to understand your preferences, understand your profile. And based on that, this kind of modern applications are giving you like the right suggestions. So at Amity Dubai, we started an artificial intelligence lab. And we have, for now, we are focusing on three main topics. So the first topic is computer vision. So it's everything that has to do with video streams or with images. The second stream is NLP, which is natural language processing. So in natural language processing applications, it's things like summarization, translation, and you have chatbots, question answering systems. All of these are part of natural language processing. And also we have robotics as our third topic. So when we talk about AI in the job market, so now according to many reports, so it's one of the most wanted skills in any engineer right now. So if you go to the market, if you go to, for example, to LinkedIn, if you go to all the big portals, most of the jobs that are posted there, it's in artificial intelligence and family, of course. So, and also for the careers, so it's a high-paying career in artificial intelligence because there is a shortage in terms of number of open positions and the number of people that are applying with high skills. And of course, this is implemented everywhere. So this is why the high demand is explained, because it's in healthcare, education, marketing, public sector, financial services, and so on. But it's not only on this, we find it everywhere. So in this presentation, or in this talk, we are going to talk about artificial intelligence applications and how it's changing the market landscape. So when we talk about AI, there is 4 main domains. So the first domain is what we call computer vision. So computer vision, if you go, for example, if you have a radar that captures, for example, your plate in terms of, and then it will give you a fine. So basically here, there is a computer vision system that has captured your plate number, and then it's giving you this, there is a system in the backend running that is giving you these messages. In terms of natural language processing applications, you will find it also everywhere. For example, Google, it's mainly based on natural language processing. So natural language processing, you will find the implementations of it everywhere. Speech processing, for example, whenever you give a command to your device, that's a speech processing application. Robotics is like one of the old domains of AI. So now we are going to look through every one of them, every one of these like 4 topics, and we will see more applications. So if we go, for example, to computer vision, these are some of the applications. So there are like thousands of applications of computer vision that we can find everywhere, but these are 4 of them. So one of them is optical character recognition, or some people, they call it OCR. For example, if you have a document that is not digitalized, and then you are running some certain software on it, and then it will extract the text that is inside. So from the image, we are extracting the text. So this, you will find it also in, for example, to read through some medical reports and so on. You will find it everywhere. Object detection. If you see the figure that is here, so the machine learning or the AI is able to identify every single piece of the image. So for example, here we are identifying the cars, we are identifying the person, we are identifying everything. Imagine if you are in a scenario where we want to get like statistics about all the cars that passed through a certain like gate, and then we want to get statistics about it. So you can calculate that throughout the date, and then you can get like video streams, and then based on the video streams, we'll extract all the vehicles, all the people, everything will be like monitored. This is like one of the strongest applications in computer vision. Another one that you have seen, at least in Dubai airport here. So if you go, for example, to the airport, it will detect your face, and then based on that, it will allow you to enter, to go through the gate. Another one that is used mainly in the medical domain, which is MRI scanning using AI. And in this one, this system has shown to be much more effective than like professionals in the healthcare domain. So it has shown very high accuracy, and it was given even like better results compared to the human judgment. So here we are talking about an AI that is almost equal, or sometimes it's a bit better than some human experts in MRI scanning using AI, because hospitals, they are struggling to find the experts, the right experts to read this scanned images. But imagine if you implement certain AI that will be able to tell you what kind of disease you have based on this MRI image. So this is also part of computer vision domain, which is part of AI. So this is another domain of AI, which is natural language processing. So in natural language processing, many of us are using machine translation, which is, for example, Google Translate. So we are using Google Translate, but behind the scene, there is an AI that has implemented this machine translation system. Also, if you look at Alexa, Siri, Google Assistant, all of this belongs to what we call in natural language processing, it's question answering systems. So for the question answering systems, all of them have been like implemented using this sort of AI, which belongs to natural language processing. Another category of AI is text summarization. Imagine, for example, every day you will have like 20, 30, 40 newspaper articles that you want to go through. But imagine if you have an AI that can give you just a digest, just a summary of the main things that happened today. You don't need to go through all the documents, through all the articles, because we are running out of time. So it's very hard for us to read everything. So one of the applications of them is called text summarization. And of course, in text summarization, also we have like also subdomains. So we have what we call the extractive one, where we need just to select the pieces, the important pieces from the document. Or we have the one that is more complex, that do the human level abstraction. Because for us as humans, if I tell you, for example, can you summarize for me what happened like today, or what happened in this event? So you will not like look at certain pieces and then combine them together, but you will generate a new text based on your understanding. So there are like Also in text summarization, there are like multiple types. Also in question answering, there are multiple types. For example, there is what we call the open domain, and then there is the general one, which is like mimicking the Alexa concept. For example, in the closed domain, you have like mainly interacted with a lot of portals here in UAE. Sometimes, for example, if you have an issue with Etisalat, for example, and then you are like doing some kind of chat with the system. So if it's an automatic system, it's gonna give you, for example, certain suggestions based on how closely your question is to their database. So they will look at questions that have been already answered by the experts, and then they will give you the suggestion based on that. So this is not like closed domain, because here we are talking about certain business. We are not talking generic. But if you go, for example, Google Assistant, it's much more generic. So here we are talking about something that can reply to any question that you have in mind. For example, you will tell, what is the population of India? And then this machine learning system, it will look at its documents. And here it's a bit complicated. The process is a bit complicated when we talk about open domain question answering system with respect to the easiest task, which is like the closed domain. And the example, for example, Talabat, or you have the example of Itisalat, where they have like certain FAQ, which is frequently asked questions, and based on that, they will give you the appropriate response. And then in these cases, if the system is not able to respond, of course, there will be a redirection to the human who will, for example, try to respond to your question. So here also we talk about autocomplete. So in the old days, when we've been using autocomplete, it was not, I'm talking about the people who tried it like in the 1990s, and then in the beginning of 2000, it was not very sophisticated if you experienced with Google right now and the previous Google autocomplete. Right now, it's taking into account so many things. It takes into account the places that you visited, takes into account the people who are like friends with you. It takes into account where you are. It takes into account your previous searches. It takes into account so many parameters to model them as a function that will give you proper suggestions. So it will be easy for you to Google and to go like to get like what you want in terms of results. There is another one which is called sentiment analysis. So for sentiment analysis, if you are, for example, a businessman, and then you want to invest in certain asset, but you don't know what the market is saying about that asset. Is the market positive about it? Is the market negative about it in a certain time, for example? And then based on this sentiment analysis, usually what we do in sentiment analysis, we have to look at a lot of textual data, right? So it can be like just opinions that you can take from some surveys or from some websites like Amazon or like any like website where people, they will put comments or videos or whatever. And then people, they will label these comments as positive, neutral, or negative. And based on that, we will get a sense on how this asset that I want to invest to the trend is going. Is it like, does it have a positive trend? Does it have a negative or neutral trend? And based on that, you will decide how much, for example, you are going to invest into that asset. And this is also part of AI, which belongs also to the natural language processing. This is very famous, speech processing. So many of you have used speech recognition, or we call it also speech to text. So here we are going to convert a speech that is pronounced by certain user in certain application to a text. And that text probably can be like a comment. For example, you will tell Google open this, or Google close this, or Google do this. And it can be something else. And then we have the other way around, which is TTS. TTS, it's text to speech. Here we are doing it the other way around. So we are converting the text into a speech. And this is very useful, especially for applications where you need, for example, like to get some recordings. For example, you have a very nice recording voice, and then you want to make some advertisement on that, and then you don't have like someone who can like do that voice for you, so you can use the TTS. You will convert the text into. And there are, of course, others. For example, some of our students here at Amity, they were able to implement something that is helping the kids and we were able to capture how they will pronounce the words or the alphabet, the English alphabet properly, because so many kids in schools, they are struggling to pronounce English properly. So we were like able to capture what was the difficult words that these people, they were like having, and then based on that one, we will give like a report that will tell them this is how, these are like the letters or the alphabet that you are struggling with, and this is how you can improve. So there are so many applications also in speech processing. There is like speaker identification. That's another one. For example, we have, for example, a speech, and then in that speech, I will identify that this person is saying, this is the speech that belongs to this person, this segment belongs to another person, and which is also part of AI. In terms of, now we've been talking about what are the domains and things, but now how we are going to implement the AI. So how we implement the AI, we have mainly 5 different approaches. There are other people who are talking about other approaches, but these are the main ones that are like discussed whenever we implement AI. So the first one is machine learning. So machine learning is that the machine or the program will look at the data, and then it will, for example, make prediction. So that's one, which is done usually in a supervised way. For example, you want to predict the stock value. For example, the stock value of certain like assets. You want to predict the stock value, or whether the stock is going to go high, or the stock value of an asset going to go high or down. So this is, for example, through machine learning. So we have to give the historical data, and based on that, the machine learning system will learn whether this should go high or down. You can have it also in like the medical domain to detect whether these people is highly to have diabetes in the future or not. For example, based on thousands or hundreds of data points that you have, I will tell the machine learning system to look at this specific data, and then it will predict the future. So it will predict whether this person is gonna have like diabetes or not. So it can be applied in anything that is prediction. That's one part of machine learning. There is another part of machine learning, which is unsupervised machine learning. In unsupervised machine learning, we have what we call clustering. Imagine, for example, I have a community, or I have a lot of clients, and then I want to identify clusters of clients. And based on the cluster of clients, I will give certain specific ads. For example, I know that these clients, this cluster of clients, they share the same like attitude and features. So I know that this group of people, I should target them with specific ads. Other group of people, I will target them with other specific ads. So this is like another domain, which is unsupervised machine learning. And in that one, we need the algorithm to detect the patterns without giving the label. So we are not going to tell the machine learning system whether this, for example, this data belongs to this cluster or not, but the machine learning system will look at the data, and then it will do some certain clustering on that. This is only for the first point. Then there is the second point, which is like booming right now. We call it deep learning. So when people, they were doing supervised machine learning in the first one, they were struggling. So whenever, for example, we have a lot of training data, there was the performance of the model was not increasing. So they suggested like deep models. So here it's a bit technical. So what they suggested is that neural networks that are very deep, that can generalize even if you have huge quantity of data. So here it started from started booming from the year 2006, 2007. And this is thanks to the computational power that we have right now. So because right now we have the GPUs, and thanks to the GPUs that we have, we are able to implement this deep learning concept. The third concept is what we call reinforcement learning. So reinforcement learning is that the program or the machine or the agent, it will learn within the environment without any supervision. Imagine, for example, I have a robot, and then my target is for the robot to go from this point to that point and avoiding all the obstacles. So how my robot should like work and should improve over time is one of the ways to do it is through what we call reinforcement learning. So it will learn from the error, and then it will improve by itself by doing some kind of reward to the robot. So this is like what we call the reinforcement learning. So the robot or the agent in the environment will learn by itself from the experience and using some kind of reward functions. The fourth one is kind of like old AI. So this was like the old AI that started with like, there was like what we call Mycene system. So it was used for the medical domain. And then here we have rules. So we will tell the AI, so we will take, for example, if you are like working in the medical domain, you will take a doctor. And this doctor, you will extract knowledge from him. For example, you will tell, this doctor will tell, in these conditions, you have this disease. In these conditions, you have another disease. And then these rules is extracted from the human. So there is what we call the expert system engineer. He will sit with the expert in the domain, which is the doctor. He will extract all the rules from that doctor to be able in the future to predict whether there will be a disease with, or not with certain probabilities. The fifth category is also knowledge representation. So here, people in AI, they were trying at the beginning to model like the human thoughts and the human language with some kind of logical representation. So there are like, this is like another field, which is like an old field. But right now, what people are doing is a combination of like 2 and 3, for example, between deep learning and reinforcement. Other people are combining between the old approach, which is expert system, knowledge representation, and the deep learning. Because there are certain cases where the model or the AI is not able to get like conclusions only from the data. So because there is what we call the AI, data-driven AI, and there is this expert-driven AI. So there is a combination, there is an emerging field, which is a combination between the deep learning and the knowledge representation domain and getting the information from the expert and then merging them together. So the last category of AI here, we talk about robotics. So robotics, it's a branch of AI, and it's a combination between electrical engineering, mechanical engineering, and computer science. So it's a combination between multiple sciences. For example, you have Tesla robots. So Tesla robots, it's robots that are like, most of the cars that are built by Tesla, it's automatically built by robots. And then they have another layer of robots, which are robots that are fixing the robots that are building these cars. And then there is, for so many companies, there is, for example, FedEx, Amazon, and so many companies, they have delivery robots, which is, I think in UAE it's not yet here, but in US and other locations it started. So there is delivery robots. And you have also robots in the agriculture domain where all the tasks is handled automatically by the robots. Okay, now the question is, what is the role of an AI professional? So here we've been talking about the domain, the categories, the approaches, but what will be the role of an AI professional? So this question is a bit difficult to answer, but it depends on the position, the experience, and the interest. So here we will be talking about different paths that any AI professional can take that we'll be discussing in the upcoming slides. Now let's focus on what is required from an AI professional. Okay, so for example, we have a student who wants to shift into AI. So what is required from this student to jump into AI? So there are, like, in terms of mathematics, there are 2 things that are required. So he should have competencies in calculus and linear algebra. This is like one of the prerequisites. And then this student, or the one that wants to learn the AI concept, he should have knowledge about at least one of these 3 programming languages. So the one that is used actually by most of the companies, and it's like booming and it's everywhere, is Python. So in most of the applications, most of the AI applications, you will find Python as the main language. You should also know C or C++ and MATLAB. MATLAB is a bit like optional, but it's good to have. But Python, C++, it's almost a must, especially Python. So all of these are like programming languages that someone needs to know before like digging into AI. In terms of skills, so according to ZipRecruiter, so they were doing so many surveys, and these are the main skills or the top 5 skills that any AI professional should have as skills. First one is communication skills, knowledge and experience with Python specifically, as we mentioned before, but it's fine to have like other programming languages as well. Digital marketing goals and strategies, because probably you will be working with the marketing team, so and then you have to define the goals properly with them. And this is in line, of course, with the communication skills. So this is why you should have like communication skills. And then you should be collaborating effectively with others, because an AI professional is not someone who will sit by himself doing some coding and that's it. So he should communicate with so many entities to make sure that the final product or the final outcome is delivered properly. And then, of course, he should have analytical skills, because here he will be solving like real life problems. He should have analytical skills. Now we will be talking about career paths in artificial intelligence. So there is research scientist, AI engineer, AI architect, machine learning engineer, data scientist, and more. And we will be talking about them in details in the upcoming slides. Okay, so the first one is data analyst. So what is a data analyst? So a data analyst tries to find meaningful patterns in data by looking at the past to help make predictions about the future. So this is the main goal of a data analyst. So for example, you will give him a lot of data. He will look at patterns, meaningful patterns, to detect the future. So that's the role of a data analyst. A research scientist, it's a bit advanced. So here we are talking about people who will design the algorithms that other people will use. So here we are expecting the person to have knowledge in mathematics, machine learning, deep learning, computational statistics. And he is expected to have an advanced degree in computer science or an advanced degree in a related field supported by experience. So here we are talking about PhD holders, mainly PhD holders, because it's a research scientist here. We talk also about AI engineer. An AI engineer is supposed to build artificial intelligence models from scratch and help product managers and stakeholders understand the results. Now coming to another high level. So this is much more for industry side, which is an AI architect. When we talk about an AI architect, he should have like a wider view of all the problems, all the surrounding tools, everything. Because at the end, he should be able to follow the building, deployment, end-to-end for any machine learning or for any AI pipeline. So he should be in every single step. A machine learning engineer, he should be able to design, build, and manage machine learning software application. And the last one is one of the most wanted, which is in the market, which is a data scientist. So a data scientist is expected to collect, analyze, and interpret data sets and design machine learning algorithms to solve problems. And this is one of the most wanted jobs in the market, which is a data scientist. There are other career paths which are like not necessarily part of AI, but some people are confusing them with AI. There is what we call business intelligence developer. So business intelligence developer is someone who will, for example, use tools like Excel, Tableau, Power BI to draw some visualizations to show it to the stakeholders. There is another domain which is big data engineer and architect, because here we are in the era of big data. So we have data coming from everywhere. So the people who are in big data, they are like implementing some tools like Hadoop and things like to accelerate the calculation and to accelerate the speed of the programs. Now, when it comes to companies who are doing AI and companies who are interested in AI, so there is the big portal which is Glassdoor. So it's listing these main companies. So in these companies, you will find Google, Amazon, Facebook, Apple, Nvidia, Intel, Samsung, IBM. All of the big companies are like recruiting for AI jobs. Now, talking about what we offer here at Amity. So what we offer at Amity, so we have a computer science program where we have two main things. So we have what we call fundamental courses in computer science. So in the fundamental computer science courses, we are providing algorithms and data structures, operating systems, compilers, web and mobile development, computer networks and security, and so on. So these are some of them. So it's not, the list is not exhaustive. But these are some of the main core courses that we are providing as like part of the computer science program. And to scale to the next level, which is AI, we need to have these courses as prerequisites. So among these courses, we provide artificial intelligence, data science, data analytics, machine learning, cybersecurity, and other courses. But these are like part of, this should come just after like getting like enough knowledge in computer science. So most courses that we provide, they have practical labs with dedicated softwares to implement the theoretical ideas. And this year we get like some, we implemented like an innovative teaching method, which is like PBL approach. So the PBL approach, it's called PBL, it's a project-based learning approach where we combine different courses together. So in our experience, we have combined artificial intelligence, cybersecurity in my experience, artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, and object-oriented design, and the students were able to implement so many systems. So the first system that I can highlight here is a recommender system. So based on movies, the students were able to suggest for the user what is the appropriate movie for that user. In another PBL project, students, there was two projects. One which is emotion detection in classroom. So they have like a camera, and then the camera will look at all the audience, and then it will give you, for example, the percentage of people who are like following the course, the percentage of people who are happy, the percentage of people who are sad, it will scan all the image, and then it will give you statistical report based on that. And then also for the hospital to monitor, for example, the patients, how they are like improving daily. There was another project which is pronunciation validation for kids, for school kids. In this one, students were able to see whether the students were able to pronounce English words and English sentences properly, and it helps them like improve their language. There was like also sentiment analysis project, fraud detection project, and then a cognitive virtual assistant project. Thank you very much.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for this wonderful presentation, Dr. Riadh. And I'm sure the students and the parents will have some questions coming out of this presentation. So we are ready to take the questions. Please raise your hand and identify yourself and ask the question. Dr. Riadh will be happy to take the question. No questions? How many? Okay.
Yeah, good evening. Actually, just want to know that my son Nakshatra is looking for computer engineering. So want to know that all this while before attending the course or joining the institute, so is it good to use this time for learning Python if somebody is learning to enhance the skills, or is it okay to wait for the university to start the course?
That's a very nice question and a very good question.
And just a minute, I just want to add on, because actually this is the deadline to start your future. There is no like if and but. You have to start at the right moment and with the right career path. So everybody, the child and the parent, very curious to know what to do, how much to do, because sometimes we are doing too much. We don't know whether to stop it or not. So like we are pushing our child to do this, to do that. So how much like we should do in these holidays, or we should just let them be on their own for some time and give it up to the university to start it at their end and not to push them more to many courses. So we should know how much we should do. Yeah.
Get it. So basically from my experience, like here at Amity with students, so some students, they have like a passion. For example, they will do these courses like offline because they want it. So they want, like, for example, to be in computer science. They want like develop like for them as a passion. And some other students, they will just discover their passion once they start like at Amity. So once they start like doing programming, they will start like knowing that there are like courses that are really interesting. So here it's one of the ways. So if he is, for example, very passionate about programming, I cannot tell him, okay, wait till you join the university and then you start programming. If you are like, he is very eager to learn it, it's very good. So it's very good to like do it, because here we'll do other concepts, and then we are going to cover the same concepts probably, and then he will have probably the edge over other students because he has already the experience. He will have the chance to ask more advanced questions to the teacher to move forward. So that will help him. It will give him like one more step over the other students. But for example, some students, they want to enjoy, for example, they want to, for example, vacation, they want like, it's also fine. So probably he will discover his passion here.
It's also fine. And I'm Dr. Kavita Shukla. I'm the head of admissions here in Amity University. And as an educator, my advice would be that don't push the child too much. And at their own pace, they should learn. And what Dr. Riadh is saying, that they should actually, if they are passionate about it, they can start self-motivated, because in the university, the teaching learning methodology changes. In the school, it's a push strategy, and in the university, we encourage the students to take in as much information as possible, as much knowledge as possible, and work with their professors towards building a career. You know, finding a career and building a career. So that is the approach, and I'm sure he will do well. Yeah. Any other questions? Yeah.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Actually, I wanted to ask, as Mr. Riadh said, like, you know, first you do computer science, then you go for an advanced AI, ML, or cyber security. So is it better to take computer science engineering at like undergraduate level and do the master's in AI, machine learning, or cyber security? Because some colleges, they offer like undergraduates at AI, ML, and cyber security. So which is better for students' prospects?
That's a very good question, and I was actually waiting for that. So Dr. Riadh, you can take it, then
great.
I will add to it.
Great. So that's a great question. So basically, one of the requirements like to jump into AI is to have like solid foundations on, for example, mathematics. So if you want to be a very good, for example, AI engineer or data scientist, you should have like very solid foundation on mathematics. That's one. And this is what we provide here at Amity at the very first years. And then you should have another layer, which is the programming. So you should know some programming languages, which we also provide here at Amity University. So once these requirements are met, the student can jump to the next step, which is how I implement the AI. So the AI should come as a later stage, because you cannot implement AI if you don't know, for example, programming languages. And then for Amity, what we provide in the final year, which is the fourth year, we are providing some elective courses. So for the elective courses, we are providing artificial intelligence courses and data science courses. So it's also part of the final year. But of course, if the students wants to follow, for example, a master's degree later, it will be much easier for him because it will set up the ground for him. So later he can like jump easily into the specialty.
Yeah, thank you so much for that, Dr. Riyadh. And I would just like to add to that you know, artificial intelligence and machine learning, all these are applications of computer science engineering. So fundamentally, you should have, the student should have a fundamental degree in BTech degree in computer science so that they can build up their career in artificial intelligence or machine learning or cybersecurity or robotics. So these are all master's subjects. So please, if any universities now they are, you know, offering bachelor's in artificial intelligence, but the course content, if you go through the course content, it will be the same as BTech computer science, because that is the building block. You know, that is where you start and then you progress towards the specialization. So these are all applications and they will come in later on. That's what Dr. Riadh said, that you should have fundamentally a basis of mathematics, programming, and then you can move ahead, yeah? So that is something that you should not get distracted with, yeah? Any other questions? I hope. Okay, so that is, we do give, while we are counseling, we'll give you the course outline of every semester, per semester till the final year. So 8 semesters will give you the course modules that what you will study. So please do take it from outside, yeah. So he has already applied for the program? Not yet? Okay. So you should apply because computer science engineering, it is our top selling program right now. I have the maximum number of applications for computer science engineering as well as BSc IT. So anyone who does not have physics, chemistry, mathematics in grade 12 can take BSc IT. So only with mathematics, a 3-year degree program in information technology, which can also take you to these, you know, higher levels of applications of computer science. Yeah.
Good evening to everybody. My question is, nowadays a computer is everywhere, but we don't know what is the scope in future and how much scope is there. So if students is very passionate about the aeronautical or mechanical side, so how we can correlate with this computer science and computer engineering?
Just
Okay, so see, if aeronautical engineering or mechanical engineering, these are all classic engineering programs, yeah? Mechanical engineers will always be required. Even for artificial intelligence and other applications of like robotics, you will need mechatronics BTech, or you can do electrical and electronics engineering triple E. So it's not mandatory. You know, it depends on the passion that the child has. So it's not mandatory that you should take only computer science. You can take any domain of engineering. Most of the domains are moving towards that because that is the industry demand. Yeah? No, not towards computer science. See, robotics is mechanical, it's a combination of electrical, mechanical, and computer engineering. So if he takes mechatronics, it is a combination of all these three. So for computer science engineering, the careers are in data sciences or the higher levels of programming and mathematical analysis. So if someone wants to move more towards the industrial side of engineering, then mechatronics and mechanical engineering, we have aerospace engineering, which is also towards unmanned systems. So, and the future is going to be about unmanned systems also, satellites and drones. So, related to yeah. See, what happens, sir? the student, after he comes out from grade 12th, they have to start somewhere. And the undergraduation degree is the basis for their future careers. So it does not matter, you cannot be a jack of all trades. You have to, pick up one domain and work towards it. But mostly because of the use of technology, and especially after the COVID 2020, the use of technology has become omnipresent, and it is, by intent people are using, even in education, in other sectors, so much implementation is taking place. So that is where most of the engineering branches will move towards that, where the industry demand is. So what we see and what statistics are saying, that almost 100,000 jobs are going to go away and replaced by a new set of jobs, where the job profiles we still don't know. So the students have to start somewhere. We don't know the job profiles. What is going to happen after 4 years? I mean, he has to figure it out. And all this the student develops when they pick up projects. Because all our engineering programs have integrated into the course curriculum 6 to 8 weeks internship, a thesis, a dissertation, and projects, minor projects and major projects. So in all semesters. So that is where the student, he continues to keep building his profile and looking at where the maximum research is taking place. So it's a process. We cannot predict, yeah? Okay. I hope I answered. Yeah. Okay. Anything else? Any other questions? Oh, Dr. Fazal has a question. Our Pro-Vice Chancellor is here, so any other questions regarding the university? You can.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Amity University. I'm quite surprised that most of the questions were asked by moms and dads. Well, I know you must be still shy. You're facing life now. You should be asking questions. It's good that mom and dad can articulate better on your behalf, but you should be asking these questions because you are now about to start your adulthood and be more independent, which is good. I just wanted to address what you said. Dr. Kavita is absolutely right. A lot of research has been done about the nature of jobs. Jobs are changing dramatically. In next 5-10 years, most of the jobs which we thought were permanent won't be there. There are new jobs coming up. If you look at recently in India, the Minister for Aviation has said that there are 40,000 drone pilots required in next 2-3 years in India. It's unimaginable. Every part of the world, as technology changes, jobs change, job market changes. But a good student who will adopt to this change has to have some foundation. They need to have a degree, and then they specialize and they super specialize. But they need to have basic understanding. And the other thing which is happening is because of technology and digitalization, more and more courses are getting converged together. There is lesser distinction between what it used to be when we were at university and college. Today everything is, they need to be sort of multi-skilling, doing different jobs. That's what we do here. We give them an opportunity to learn by doing. Dr. Kavita and Dr. Riadh also mentioned about the project student do. And that's what future of learning is as well. And we are very much engaged with that. Yes, they should specialize, but they need to have a broader foundation, and then they can understand those concepts. And computers are not going to go anywhere. This is future now. Computer applications are everywhere in our life. If you look at medical sciences, engineering, civil services, everywhere, especially you have been living in Dubai, you know it, every service is now digitized. On our smartphones, we can do 95% of the tasks where we don't need to go and visit offices. So life is getting easier. It's uncertain, but those people can make better guesses who have a foundation. That's why degrees are good, and then they can specialize. Thank you.
And the future is also going to get more about doing higher and higher research. So PhD is going to be a very normal degree. In our time, someone who was a PhD was someone very senior professor. But you look at Dr. Riadh, he's a young man and he already is a postdoctoral scientist. So PhD, I mean, the students of the future will have to study far more. So don't get distracted with that. Any other questions? We'll be happy to take. Yeah? No other questions? So we are available outside. Yeah. Yes, sir. You don't need the mic. Excellent. So I was just waiting for this question. Someone should ask me. At Amity University, we have a dedicated CRC department, which is the placement cell. And we have 4 or 5 people working 24/7 to create the internships and final placements for the students. And every year, we have multiple things that we do to create that placement opportunity for all our students. The first thing is when the student enters the university, so he goes through the PDP sessions, which is the professional development program for the first semester and the second semester, where we teach him how to make a good CV, how to handle interviews, how to handle a normal interview, and then psychometric tests. All this goes in the first year. And every year in the month of March and April, we have the annual placement week, where this year almost 120 companies, they visited the campus. So all this is documented on our Facebook page. So please do like our social media handles, Facebook and Instagram, and you can see the pictures and the documentation of the annual placement week. And apart from that, this annual placement week ensures that all students who are going for internship, 4-year degree programs after 6 semesters, 3-year degree programs after 4 semesters, and 2-year degree programs after 2 semesters. 1st of July to 31st August is our dedicated internship time. So all these internships are finalized in the month of March, April, May. So this is our process. Apart from this, we have a desk outside for the placement cell, so you should meet our head of placements. Mr. Navneet is sitting outside. And we have a CRC portal, which is hosted on our, final semester, our placements, if you go to LinkedIn, if you type Amity University Dubai, you will see where our students are placed. And we have placements in SAP, enterprise systems, and the list of companies is there, so we can show you outside. And this is the placement process. Apart from this, we also have a CRC portal where we have currently some 300 positions which are currently open for our students to apply. So it's a constant process of generating opportunities for our students. And we also have guest lectures and networking events where the students, they meet the recruiters. We had a human capital forum day recently. So almost 50 HR managers, they visited and they gave their feedback on their work. So it's a constant process at Amity University. I hope I answered your question. Yeah, you should meet our CRC team outside, and you should look at the CRC portal, the pictures, the documentation, the list of companies where all our students, they are placed, yeah? My pleasure. Okay, did we have a good session? We should thank Dr. Riadh for this wonderful session, and I just said that he's a postdoctoral scientist in artificial intelligence. He has done a lot of work. You can follow him on LinkedIn and various other portals where he is. And you can also, write to him if you still think that you want to have some question answered. So he will share his email ID with you. We can sit outside and we can have further chat. In case you've not filled up your application, please do it, because computer science engineering is our top selling program, and we do have limited seats in that, yeah? So please do it, and the scholarships are also available still, so we can have a discussion outside with the school, with the admissions counselors. And thank you.